Call the council meeting to order. For the agenda, there's a couple of small changes in department reports. Point 2, that is not happening tonight. And in new business, following point 5, we will do the 2013 partnership list of grants. Also, there's a changing in the wording of the under reading of the minutes in the second part, that instead of as printed and circulated, as amended to reflect the recorded vote. And that was in fire contract negotiations. Okay, motion to accept Councillor Vodden and Councillor Campbell. All in favor? Carried. Okay, declaration of pecuniary interest, if any. Okay, well, I'll say thank you to council. I think we gave the impetus to the Blythe Brussels Midgets to go ahead and win the championship without needing to extend the ice as long as we were ready to help them with. Also, a letter from the Honourable Jeff Leal, Minister of Rural Affairs, on the conference that we had with him at the Good Roads Convention, and basically it's mentioning that our contact through him would be Darrell Ball, that a number of us know fairly well, so that's good news. Also, a surprising announcement from this afternoon that Sparling Propane has been purchased by Parkland Fuel Company. And that as can be noted, that we have a number of daffodils, that April's Cancer Awareness Month, so that there's very few of us that aren't personally affected by somebody very close to us, so that that's something that we will be following up with. Also, something that I'm not sure how well I understand it yet, but from the Ontario Distribution Sector Review Panel, I have a copy of Renewing Ontario's Electricity Distribution Sector, and I think it's something that maybe we should all try reading over to have an idea of exactly what was said, and so that I think it's something that North Huron definitely looks at when we have a utility other than Hydro One that's a very conscious part of the municipality. Okay, moving forward to reading of the minutes of the previous meeting. That was public budget meeting, March 18th, 2013, as printed and circulated, and the council meeting. Councillor Vodden, Deputy Reeve Reach. Any comments? All in favor? Carried. No deputations? Okay. Moving into department reports. It's just that meeting was held, and anything significant out of it or not? Okay. Moving on to point 3, recreation and facilities. designated substance audit, projection, professional services. We have a write-up, Pat. You want to go over it, please?
Sure. So one of the projects slotted to begin in 2013 and to continue into 2014 and perhaps even in 2015 is to have all of the municipal facilities go through the designated substance audit, which is a requirement under health and safety. And the major primary substances that they're looking for are asbestos, lead, mercury, and silica. And then with each facility, we receive a report of anything containing those items and how we are recommended to deal with them or not deal with them. And then if any construction or any repairs or even, sanding a wall is required, our staff are aware for their own health and safety of any protective equipment or precautions they need to take. So this was something that council discussed almost 6 months ago. We met with a professional. Some of us attended all of that, and he briefed us on how the process works before beginning our renovations here and also the fire code upgrades. This building underwent this, and MTE provided those services for us. We're not doing all of the buildings all at once. We've broken this up in order to be a more affordable project over the next 2 to 3 years. So what we're thinking is, rather than tendering this out, which is a bit challenging because we're not sure how much to ask for up front, because it could exceed our budget amount, and then it gets difficult, we would prefer to work with a consultant and get the best bang for our buck. In other words, meet with them, negotiate our best price possible with them, and our economy of scale. So if they know that we're doing this building and this building together, perhaps that can come in at a better price because of the location or style of building or types of work that needs to be done. So we're suggesting, rather than tendering, we go to a negotiated method for the services of MTE. We were very satisfied with the work they have done here. The pricing is competitive, and it's a consultant like a lawyer or architect. It's difficult to, unlike tendering for gravel, it's a difficult thing to itemize exactly what we need done, because each building is different. They have to tour them and look at them and the age of them, and then quote us on what it's going to take to get that building assessed. So that's what I'm requesting.
Okay, Councillor Bales.
So just so I understand this right, you have $30,000 set aside for this building?
No, I have $25,000 set aside this year for the project. We already did this building last year,
Okay.
so it's been done and paid for.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and this is for the safety?
It's for health and safety. It's a health and safety regulation, and it is in order, the regulation requires that all buildings have an asbestos assessment and management plan.
Just a quick one on this building. Are the curtains still hanging upstairs?
The curtains,
The curtains on the stage?
yes.
Yes or no, which is it?
Are the theater curtains?
Yeah.
Those are hanging there, correct, yes.
I was led to believe the reason we had to have some of the people not use this building is because they were such a fire hazard.
That's incorrect. The fire code issues are different than what we're talking about right here. But to answer your question about the fire code, the requirement upstairs is that there be a separation between the audience and the stage. So one solution to that problem is a special curtain to be installed that if fire were detected, it would close automatically, separating flames that could be on the stage from the audience. So it hasn't anything to do with the particular curtains that are there now.
Oh, because I was led to believe that all the schools and every municipal building had those curtains pulled down for that reason, because they were a fire hazard. Anyway, we won't
Okay.
go up on that.
Okay.
So you're looking for a budget to continue this process down the road?
I'm asking permission to move to, for procurement procedure of a project of $25,000. Our procurement procedure, which Donna can explain better, requires that we tender.
Yes.
And I'm suggesting, I need council permission, rather than tendering for the project, that we go to negotiated method with MTE to get our best pricing and can have them consult on the project.
May I understand that, but would we be violating our bylaws, or we're okay to do that?
Just a second, Councillor, that what, I guess that I'm asking for is council's feeling on going to a motion to avoid going through the 3 tenders, that would keep us in compliance with our bylaws then. That where we have a company that we know is competent in that area that we've worked with before, we are allowed to, as long as we make a motion, that we are definitely, and not, and with everybody's knowledge, going into a negotiated method with a company that we know can do the job.
Okay.
I'll make the motion that we go with a negotiated method to do the designated substance audit report project.
Okay. Do I, Councillor Lawton seconds. Further discussion, if any? Pat?
The second part of that motion was to negotiate with MTE. Are we going to do that as a separate motion then, or will we add it to your
Add
motion?
to- If that's okay with Rob.
Okay.
Okay.
I think it's extremely valuable to draw on their familiarity with our setting and with our situation, and that's worth a great deal, and we're within our right to do this.
Councillor Campbell?
So which buildings are we thinking of doing this year? Do you have any designated buildings that you want to do?
The ones that are up for construction projects in the near future will definitely be on the priority list. So Memorial Hall is an example, as they're looking at doing some renovations there. The airport, where we're doing the siding. So those are ones that we would definitely indicate to MTE as a priority. But then we're going to turn to their experience and ask them what's our best way and method of tackling this large project over the next couple of years.
Okay.
All in favor of the motion? Carried. Okay. There's number 4, Wingham Police Services year-end report. Is there any questions or comments? Councillor Vaughn?
I have a question about $95 million in this report. And, sorry, I just, it's here somewhere. I thought it was a tremendous gift we're giving the constables for salaries, but I think it was the wrong number.
Whereabouts are you, Bob?
I'm searching here. Anyway, I'm sure it's an error.
Which line is it, Dave?
Page 9, total operating expenses.
No, that's not it. I'm sorry, I'll look for it.
Just one note there on page 8, the clearance rate for the Wingham Police Services is 93%, up from 88% from 2011. This is probably the highest clearance rate in all of Canada of all the police departments in the business.
Okay, if there's nothing else right now, go ahead.
Just a question on the parking bylaw and enforcement. In 2012, there were only 37 parking violations in our fines. We just passed a bylaw to increase the fines. Is there a reason why the parking violation is down so much, and are we not enforcing it, or what's happened?
That's probably because our bylaw came into place.
Pardon?
That's probably because our bylaws came into place for the parking.
So we aren't enforcing it now, or because
They are
people
enforcing it, but the people are
are obeying?
obeying it more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving to business horizon from previous meetings, is there anything? Okay. As we probably should have a motion adopting or receiving the police services board report. Deputy Reeve and Councillor Bailey. All in favor of that motion? Okay. Councillor
I
Lund.
found the reference on page 2 of the police report. CPP and 1,000 officers grants. So these grants total $95 million per year to assist in paying for 3 officers' salaries, which seems a bit outlandish. Page 2 of the police report. About halfway down. 3/4 of the way down.
Are you in the-
Sorry, it's from the minutes of the police.
Oh, you're in the minutes.
Yes,
Okay.
sorry.
That's a police chief decimal problem.
Should we arrest him or something?
Wait till he gets back. He's back tomorrow. But it should be 95,000. He's actually done that before, and I told him he's trying to get on Donna's good side, but it should be 95,000, not 95 million. If he can find a $95 million grant.
Okay. Sorry for that, I lost mine.
Okay. Moving to new business. The International Building Safety Month proclamation for the month of May. Right, Dave?
Yes, it's that time of year again.
Is there anything you want to make as comments, or?
Just other than the fact that May 2013 is recognized as International Building Safety Month. And just asking that this council of the Township of North Huron sign it and put it into place for May 2013. Where we require your signature and clerk's signature and the date.
I'll make that motion.
Councillor Campbell, Councillor Hallahan, all in favor? Carried. Okay, the Huron County, point 2, Huron County Road Supervisors Association, and it's read the 2015 Association of Ontario Road Supervisors Municipal Trade Show. Kelly?
Sure, I can speak on that. Sean Thomas, the Secretary Treasurer of Huron County Road Supervisors Association, is looking for the support of this council to look for the bid for the 2015. Like it says, the trade show that they want to put up, and right now one of the places they're looking at is the Blythe Arena. So it would be Blythe.
So
But they just want to
for Huron County hosting it.
yeah, but they just want the support of the council to go forward with that, because they will be asking all of the council.
I would move that we send in a letter of support for that.
I would believe that would be great, yeah.
Okay, and Councillor Hallahan seconds that. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Point 3, Wingman District Horticultural Society hosting District 8 conference. And it's a request for donation towards the silent auction to assist in the funding the conference. All kinds of books.
Possibly a 1-month complete membership contract? Or some swim passes? Whatever council desires.
Okay. All in favor?
Just, could you read back what we're giving, just so I know?
I think we have a book, books, plural, possible swim passes,
A rain barrel.
a rain barrel, 1 month membership.
Okay. Carry. Okay, and it looks like we have an emergency management exercise scheduled for July 11th. And that we have, Gary?
I can speak to that. North Huron is working with Howick Township and Morris Turnberry on a joint exercise that would be a mock disaster. And that event is scheduled for July 11th. And as part of the process, we need North Huron Council to formally approve North Huron's involvement and participation in this emergency management training exercise.
Make that a motion.
Councilor Bailey moves. Councilor Campbell seconds. Discussion?
You're not gonna make it too hard this year, are you, Gary? I just remember last year.
I'm not in a position to provide any information at this time.
Okay.
We want an element of surprise.
All right.
Okay, the .5 Huron County Farm and Home Safety Association request for a 2013 financial support.
I'll make a motion that we pay the same as what we did last year, $125.
Councilor Hallahan seconds. All in favor? Carried. Okay. And that we will have Donna speak to the partnership list.
So on your table, there is the budgeted in 2013 budget. We increased the budget amount. And this year we now have $11,800 to be distributed to various partners. And that list is on your table there. Some of those have already been approved, and rather than doing them individually one by one, and we thought if we approved the whole list at once and it wasn't the budget. And as you can see, we do have, last year we increased this budget from last year because you get so many unknown requests throughout the year and then you can't deal with those. So that's why the budget was increased this year. But we let things do total. As of now, I didn't be able to give this list out and issue the checks for this, and then you can deal with any new ones as they arise.
Okay. We have a motion to move this list forward as approved. Councilor Bailey.
I'll make that motion.
So, Deputy Reeve Reach seconds. Any discussion?
I'm not sure what we've done.
Okay, it's the list of community partnerships, and that we have a motion to pass all these, so as the letters of request come in, they can just be paid out. But it's something that we've had a list like this for years, and that, any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion? Carried. Sorry, Donna, I didn't know that you were a little quieter. 6, Robert Gallagher, North Huron resident, has a request for an exemption from the noise control bylaw, bylaw 20, 2009, for a wedding reception July 20th, 2013 at 199 Leopold Street, Wingham. Go ahead and ask the question.
If we bypass this bylaw and it goes on to 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and neighbors start to complain, is there a limit to it, or? Straight at them.
He shows up.
Well, that's just.
They can get home.
Well, if we just go, yeah, that's fine, and then all of a sudden, 3 o'clock in the morning, I have 20 neighbors, if they're neighbors on my door, like, I don't mind it and I understand it, but I'm just wondering,
Who's gonna enforce it?
by bypassing this, are we bypassing everything, or what's the traditional way to take care of this?
I've been informed that the police services enforce this particular bylaw, and they would be informed of the terms of this exemption, that the event is running from 8 till 2 a.m., and would enforce it accordingly.
So there is a limit to it?
Yeah.
I must have missed that when I was reading.
That we move to the second, and Councilor Bailey. And,
I second.
okay, Councilor Gordon. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried. Moving to council information, and council may bring forward points here for discussion. Councilor Biden.
On item number 6, regarding municipally responsible for our seniors and nominations, I don't think it's our place to nominate people, but I think it would be a useful thing if we advertised in both the local papers, encouraging people to submit names to that. I'm sure there's already some advertising there, but some more wouldn't hurt, because I think there are an awful lot of seniors who spend an awful lot of time and do great work, and I think they should be recognized. So I think recognition from the general public would be probably more value to them than from us, and it would be difficult for us to pick up 1 or 2 people to recognize in this way. So I'll make that a motion.
Councilor Bailey,
I'll
second.
second that too.
Councilor Campbell.
So you're going to advertise?
Okay, if that's enough information on, all in favor? Carried. On point 2, I'm not sure what all it means. I know if you mail something in Belgrave and it's going to Brussels, or Brussels back to Belgrave, it still takes 6 days.
It's usually 14, from Brussels to Blythe.
Okay, well, Blythe's further down south.
I assume that it has to do with the Wingham arrangement. There are 2 postal boxes there, one for distant and one for local. And as far as I can tell, that's the only change, really, that we would notice.
I'm gathering that too. They told us there will be no loss of jobs or anything, just simply 1 box instead of 2, and I can't see where it's going to affect our town in any way, shape, or form.
It's still gonna take 6 days to get a letter. Okay. Go ahead.
Is this something that, down the road, this could lead to more things as far as the mail goes? Is this something that we should put in a letter of objection to? Because this, to me, is just a start. They were back a few years ago, they were going to do away with the rural mailboxes, and we did put up a protest against it, and the rural mailboxes in the Blythe area stayed the same as they were. I just see that this is as a step back by not at least objecting to it. If we're all in favor of it, that's fine, but if we think it's going to not approve or continue our good service we've been getting, I think we do have the right to object to it.
Well, my belief is the postal system, they are trying to work themselves out of existence. Something the same as was done with a national railway system. It's definitely a step back, and if you make it so that service from courier systems can be faster, that's been one of the things that's been looked at. Councilor Bailey.
I think, Jim, this is only to do with the 2 boxes down to 1. I think the bigger issue here is emails. I think the loss of work.
Eventually, yeah,
I think it's like Del Monte Canning Factory in Exeter. I agree with you, but at this point in time, I think it's just a matter of 1 box instead of 2, and I think we should wait till something drastic happens to send that letter, so because I don't think they're going to pay much attention to us saying 1 box.
well, at least they have a letter from us as council saying that they do not agree with this. Eventually, we will lose jobs over it.
Councilor Vaz.
I understand that they're working under a terrific deficit. They're losing money, and probably the next big move is going to be closing small town post offices entirely.
The whole government is working under a deficit, and I think this is just something that we should object to.
Yeah, well, I think it's something we have to watch.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the relevant topic, though, but whatever.
If that was just discussion.
Well, I think that a motion that we send a letter of objection, at least it's on the paper that we don't agree with it.
We have a motion on the floor right now.
Well, it's just what he's been talking about.
Are you making that a motion?
I'll make that a motion that we send it.
I'll second it for
a letter of
discussion.
objection.
Thank you. The wordsmithing of this will be interesting. Well, I feel that it may be a ratcheting down because as people retire from the Wingham Post Office, they will not be replaced with things like this happening, that they'll say the workload has gone down, so that it definitely is a step towards something else. Councillor Vaughn?
I would just suggest that the reply be a rather general one, that we're concerned about the continuation of effective service in these rural areas, and we are watching carefully to see that those services are maintained, rather than making a whole lot out of this one little amalgamation of 2 mailboxes.
Well, I know the time that we objected to the one in Blythe of them closing the rural areas. Whenever I go to any conferences, I do meet Tim, and Tim does know that we are from Blythe.
Good.
And he still remembers the letter of objection that came in. It did not happen, so.
That's good.
I think we're just losing something by letting it go.
The mover and the seconder, what wording do you want then?
I think the wording should include something to the effect that there is a world outside of the large cities that depends on Canada Post Service for delivery of everything from our bank statements to our income tax notices. And the mail service is very important to our small communities, and I think sometimes Canada Post forgets there is a world outside of Toronto and Stony Creek.
Perhaps we could bring the parliamentary budget officer into this as well.
Oh, he's fired.
No,
He just
finished his term.
Okay. Get that. Okay, that's okay for the mover and the seconder. All those in favor of the motion? Carried. Okay. Point 3, that it's nice having that note back from AMO. Point 4 is that a little over a month, but the Almost Famous Players will be putting on play 2 nights in May at Effie Medill. And it's nice having the note from Hallett Central Public School in thanking us for the support. Is there anybody that has any thoughts over point 7? Gary?
Just going to mention for council that this seminar will be taking place at the annual conference of the Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs. And our program coordinator at the STC will have a booth at this 2-day conference. And so we'll have representation there, which I think is time and money well spent.
Councilor
Just
Lyon.
I think it would be a great idea for one member of council at least to attend this, because it sounds like it's specifically aimed at councilors, as I understand, a seminar. I don't wish to attend, but I can't at that time, but I think it would be a great idea if somebody would go and bring back some ideas for us.
Councilor Bailey?
I volunteer Archie.
Let's keep it in mind anyway.
Yeah, I can't make that.
With a certain number, I think if we're going to get somebody in, it would probably be best to apply for one position. And that should we have a motion if we were to do that?
Sure.
I would make that motion.
Thank you. Seconder to apply for a position of one of the people of council to attend.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Carried. And so
I'll move that we read, letter, and list and file these notices and correspondence.
thank you. Seconder, Councilor Bailey. All in favor? Carried. Okay, moving into committee reports. First, the Coalition for Cure and Injury Prevention. Do you want to elaborate anything, Dave, or?
The only thing I would say is that the speed sign is ready to go out anytime if anyone has a request for a location. We'll get it out. And there was a presentation made to County Council last week. I guess you heard it, and we haven't heard whether or not whether we're getting funding from the county yet, but I'm going to assume that it's going to come through, and so that we can continue on with the work. And the other thing that we're working on is, again, running seniors driving seminars for people that are, well, senior citizens to just be upgraded on rules of the road and safe driving tips and this type of thing. We held one in Blythe 2 years ago, and as a result of that seminar, there was one person that quit driving shortly afterwards because of the information that they had received. So there's something that is worthwhile. And I sat through the seminar as well, and I learned stuff that I had forgotten and made me a safer driver.
Thank you. And if you're asking for a location, that we've had a number of people talk about the speed vehicles pass through Blythe. Being as just shortly close to your shop there, vehicles going in either direction would be a good place just to have it, so that if you were interested in putting it out, I would think that may be a good opportunity to show the visibility of it.
Last year we put it just at the bridge, just down from my shop, and it was fun watching the speed of the traffic and the reaction of people. The other place that we put it was just outside of Sparling Propane, just south of Blythe, and it's a 70 zone there. We had one person go through that at 140. And then the other location we put it was right across from the ESTC, and I left it there for a full 24 hours. We had one person go through at 135.
These people were not charged?
No, it's just a speed sign. It just, it records their speed, and when they're 10 kilometers over the speed limit, it flashes a blue light and a red light, and it makes people usually hit the brakes.
Almost
when
gave
they
me a
see
heart
that.
attack.
Pardon?
Almost gave me a heart attack.
It should.
So it is a good safety feature, and the neat thing about it is that it's all recorded on a data logger, and so it does traffic count, so we know how many people go through, and we know the speeds, and then Tim takes that information, prints it off, and in Blythe, the case of Blythe, he would give it to the OPP, and if it warrants it, they will set up a speed trap.
But can we not ask OPP to set up a speed trap anyway? Like they've asked us for different areas, because I suppose, does this tell you from year to year whether people are slowing down, because we're still getting lots of complaints in Blythe, and the traffic going too fast? Or how does that work?
Actually, in Blythe, where the speed limit's 50, it does slow people down, but the average speed going through Blythe isn't very much over 50. It just seems like it, because the street's so narrow.
You can't see an average. There are a lot of vehicles that go through way over 50.
But if the speed sign's out and it records them, the speeding problem isn't as great as you might think. But it'll be out.
That's good.
Okay, thank you. Moving to point 2, Maitland Valley Conservation, January 20th and March 6th meeting. Any highlights that you would like to bring forward, Jim? Or?
I think it's all pretty well there.
Okay.
Any questions? I'll try and answer them.
Okay. Well, we'll go back to you for point 3, the Police Services Board, if there's any questions on those meetings then.
Oh, you are getting a grant for 95,000, not 95 million, to assist in paying for 3 officers, to help pay for 3 officers' salaries.
Okay. Moving to point 4, Wingman Area Health Professionals Recruitment Committee. Any questions? Okay, moving to point 5, the Musical Muskrat Festival, 2013. There's a couple of meetings. Is there questions that people have, or everything well explained in the information? Okay. Moving forward to bylaws. Bylaw number 19, 2013, being a bylaw to authorize the Region Clerk to sign on behalf of council a lease agreement with 8262900 Canada Inc. A/O or O/A Red Cross Care Partners for the lands described as part Lot 42, Concession 8. And it's formerly the building, office building that the Township of East Wallinash had in Belgrave, which is part of North Huron now.
First, second,
Gary?
third.
First, second, and third. Is there a seconder? Councillor Hallahan?
Let's provide some background.
Does council want more background, or, okay? Those in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 20, 2013, being a bylaw to authorize the Region Clerk to sign on behalf of council a site plan agreement with the municipality of Central Huron for lands described as part Lot 22, Concession 14, being Part 1 of Registered Plan 22R4936 and Part 1 of Registered Plan 22R5745, East Ward, Municipality of Central Huron. Sir?
Just by way of background, this is, I think as you know, for the ESTC property, and there were some loose ends or some outstanding issues with the site plan for the ESTC property and building. The corrections and revisions were made to the drawings that were prepared by our architect, Nelson Dolly of Hanover, and the lands were designated by Central Huron because the property and the building are located in Central Huron. That land was designated as a site plan control area. Thus, it necessitated the need to have a site plan agreement. So this site plan agreement will be registered on title, and it's just there were some outstanding issues that were kind of left over. Those issues have been rectified, and we can move forward and have the site plan registered on title.
Can I just ask a question? This isn't Central Huron, and this is our fire station, of course. Have we ever entered into any conversations with them about putting this land into North Huron, so will we paying taxes on this? Will we be paying taxes on this land to Central Huron?
At the moment, it's not, it's still exempt.
Okay.
as municipal.
But it will be changing, right?
I'm not sure what will happen with the development.
I'm not sure if this is the time to talk about it then or not, but I'm just wondering if we should enter into conversations with them as they have done with the Goderich area, where sooner or later this land does become part of North Huron, considering it's our facilities, and I would like to see that. I'd like to see us start to move forward on some of this.
I think that's something for council discussion at some point, for sure.
Okay, so what I guess, should we talk about that now, Gary, or just get this through and talk another time?
My preference would be that that would be a council discussion for another time.
Okay, can we put it on the agenda for another time?
Sure we can.
I'll be quiet now.
That's good.
I'll move first, second, and third reading.
Councillor Gordon, and Councillor Campbell. All in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 21, 2013, being a bylaw to authorize the Region Clerk to sign on behalf of council a municipal access agreement with Huron Telecommunications Cooperative Limited, Hurontel, for telecommunications or broadcasting services. Gary.
Just by way of background, this draft agreement has been reviewed by our lawyer. It's also been reviewed by our insurance company and specifically our risk management officer. There have been some very minor revisions made to the agreement as a result of their comments. I should also mention that North Huron staff, specifically myself, our Chief Utilities Operator and our Director of Public Works, met with officials from Hurontel and the contractor who will be doing the digging. We had a meeting with them on March 18th. It was a very positive meeting. We have a better understanding of how this project is going to unfold in the town of Wingham and what our role is and what their expectations are of us and what our expectations are of them. And I know they're hoping to start work in Wingham at the end of April.
First, second, third.
Councillor Bailey, seconds. All in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 22, 2013, being a bylaw prescribing the standards for the maintenance and occupancy of property within the municipality and to repeal bylaw number 15, 2003. Dave's here if there's any questions on it. Councillor Vaughn?
I had a number of questions. There are some areas where it would be very difficult for a small municipality like this to have expertise in all of the areas that are involved in property management and maintenance and so on. So I have specific questions about ventilation. In the bylaw, just a moment here, it's stated that ventilation should be provided to and maintained and operated in all rooms and spaces within a building so as to prevent accumulations of heat, dust, fumes, gases, including carbon monoxide, vapors, and other contaminants, and so on. The question that I have is, to what extent do we have the resources to test that kind of situation? If a complaint comes up with regard to ventilation in a building, and let's say there's some dispute about whether it's a problem or not, what do we have in our bag of tricks to try to resolve this or study the problem?
Well, under the building, if this is being enforced under Section 50, the Building Code Act, which deals with property standards, under further subsections of that section, it does give the authority to the chief building official to call on independent testing. I personally do not have the equipment nor the expertise to do it, but I would have the option to request a test, and I'm assuming that this is a landlord-tenant scenario. Well, then it would be, that request would be given to the landlord, the owner of the building, to provide that test by a qualified, competent person or company to do it, and to make sure that they would meet the minimum standards with regards to that.
You know, if there's a disagreement between the landlord and the tenant, would you do something? Is there something that we could do to enforce the investigation of the situation? That is, by bringing in an expert, for example.
I could do that under certain parts of the Building Code Act, under property standards. If I thought it was a health and safety issue, then I do have that authority to request those tests. So other than that, I would be mandated by the Building Code Act in a section where I can call in an independent test. If it's an argument between the landlord and the tenant, it could become a civil matter as well. And where they might have to, the tenant might ask for a independent request on their behalf as well.
It seems that, I mean, taking this just ventilation as an example, it means that it's very difficult to uphold this item in the code. Like, it's very difficult to provide any protection. Like, what if if you're convinced that there is a terrible odor or there's an obnoxious condition, the landlord refuses to take any action, would you just walk away from it, or?
You could issue an order to comply. And if it goes any further than that and the landlord doesn't want it, and it becomes an unsafe situation, you might have to ask the tenant to move out of the apartment until the situation is rectified.
So if the landlord then just totally ignores the work order, then the tenant has to move out? That doesn't seem fair.
No, it doesn't seem fair, but if it's an unsafe situation, they should move out, right, because of their health issues. Then it would become a legal issue, and then I would probably look to our solicitor to lead me down the right path, to make it progress further, to make sure that the landlord will meet that order to comply.
I see. Okay. Thanks very much.
Other questions or comments? And just a comment, or I guess it's really a question, that the buildings would have to comply with the standards of when they were built, or would they have to be updated? Is there a certain amount of grandfathering for older buildings or not?
No. If there was no permit issued, then it would go back to the original time of construction.
Okay.
If there's a permit issued presently right now, then the building code of today comes into effect.
Okay, thanks for that clarification.
I have one other question. I just wondered if the obnoxious weed that was missed in the list, has that been put in?
Actually, that's
Deadly nightshade.
the next one. So
yeah.
I'll get the next one.
Getting ahead.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. All those in favor? Carried. Okay. Bylaw number 23, 2013. It's being a bylaw to regulate and prohibit long grass, noxious weeds, and derelict vehicles, to include the yard maintenance of lands within the corporation township of North York. Oh,
That's on number 5, right?
Number
number 4.
Bylaw number 22, 2000.
I'll do it for a second, third.
Seconder? Okay, Councilor Todd. All in favor?
This is bylaw 22 is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Moving to bylaw 23 now. Comments or over? Deputy Reach and Councillor Campbell seconds. Dave? you
If
have
I can just
comment?
comment on that, I did make an error on Schedule A, and we do have the authority to add local weeds into a bylaw. It can be approved by the local council. The 24 weeds that are listed under Schedule A are the noxious weeds that are under the Weed Control Act for the province of Ontario. To add deadly nightshade, which is the common name, it would be classified as a local weed, and would be an addition just below that. So I did make that addition if that's appropriate.
Question? How long is long grass?
Did you read your bylaw?
Yeah, but it could be.
10 inches. I decreased it from the last one.
Question.
Yes.
You have milkweed listed here, and everybody's worried about monarch butterflies, and there's a lot in the news lately about monarch butterflies and the elimination of milkweed until breeding grounds for monarch butterflies. Should it still be on there?
Actually, it is in the provincial one because it's under agricultural. If it's in your own garden, it wouldn't be classified as a noxious weed. But if it's an agricultural field where there's agricultural production, because of the overgrowth it can have, then it would be classified as a.
So if it's on a fence row, it's okay, but if it's out in the field, it's not okay? Sort of.
It would be under agricultural zoning, it would be a noxious weed if it was in a house yard or in an urban setting, it wouldn't.
What about a roadside? That's where we always used to get our.
Yeah.
The roadside, if it's agricultural zoning beside it, it would be considered agricultural. It depends on the zoning.
So if I'm correct, then Dave is looking out for roadsides too?
No,
That's county.
it's county.
Yeah. So can we enforce this 10-inch cutting thing?
Where along the roadside?
Yeah.
No, I'm just dealing with individual property owners
Okay,
within
okay, I
the
just
township
know
of
that
North
some of our
Carolina.
roadsides get longer than 10 inches and there's usually weeds growing on them. so-
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, I like that. They're weedy.
Okay.
Just to clarify, I can grow a Scotch whistle in my flower beds then?
You certainly can.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. For bylaw number 23, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Bylaw number 24, 2013, being a bylaw to amend Schedule A of bylaw number 19, 2006, being a bylaw to regulate the permit classes and fees, maintenance and property service fees, and zoning bylaw inspection fees in the township of North Carolina.
First, second, third.
Councillor Lawton, Councillor Bailey. Discussion? All in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 26, 2013, being a bylaw to authorize the Reeve and Clerk to sign on behalf of council a commercial lease agreement with Apex Helicopters, Inc.
No.
Oops, yep. Okay. Bylaw number 25, 2013, being a bylaw to authorize the Reeve and Clerk to sign on behalf of council a development agreement with the Avon-Maitland District School Board. Gary.
Just by way of background, this is more of a housekeeping item. We have, North Huron has a site plan agreement and a development agreement with the Avon-Maitland District School Board for the new school in Wingham. Both agreements were reviewed by our lawyer, our engineer, and both agreements were signed by the Reeve and myself. A couple years ago, council passed a bylaw authorizing the clerk and Reeve to sign the site plan agreement, but according to our records, a similar bylaw, authorizing bylaw, was not passed with respect to the development agreement. And our lawyer has advised that council pass a bylaw authorizing the Reeve and clerk to sign the development agreement, even though it is after the fact. This is registered on the title, and it was his recommendation that council passes bylaw after the fact.
Okay.
First, second, third.
Councilor Daly, Councilor Campbell. Discussion?
I'm just wondering if the change was made, I think that was point 8.3, at least in the draft that we had, where they made reference to the developer, but the developer was not in the definition at the beginning. All through the document, they referred to the owner as the school board. There's that one place, has that been changed?
I would need to check on that, council.
This is
Another point?
an add-on. I don't feel that we can trust this organization, and I will vote against approval of the development plan.
Any other questions or comments?
And I'd like to record a vote.
Deputy Reeve Reach,
Yes.
Councilor Bailey,
Yes.
Councilor Campbell,
Yes.
Councilor Bodden,
No?
Councilor Hallahan,
No.
Reeve Vincent,
Yes. Okay. Bylaw number 26, 2013, being a bylaw to authorize the Reeve and Clerk to sign on behalf of council a commercial lease agreement with Apex Helicopters for office space at the Richard W. Levan Airport.
Second, third.
Councilor Hallahan, Councilor Bodden. Discussion?
When I read that, I thought it said that they had first rights to a lease. It doesn't specify they took the lease out on the office space.
This is for the lease, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Beth.
This is for the lease for the office, the first office. They have first right of refusal for the second office. So right now, they're only renting one office. If another group came in and said, "We want that second office," they have the first right to match that offer to take the second office. And I've understood from speaking with them, their plan is to take that second office as of September 1st.
So I know we had emails on this, but then what are we getting paid for the office? This is separate from the hangars.
Yes.
Okay, so what is it?
It starts at a price of $250 per month per office,
Okay.
and then would go up with COLA on an annual basis. Well, actually, I believe this lease is to be discussed, it's 1 year, and then we would negotiate for the next year.
That's what I read, but yeah, I didn't see the 250, I guess I skimmed over that.
Sorry, that's under point number 4.
Okay.
Right.
Super.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 27, being a bylaw to authorize the regional clerk to sign on behalf of council a lease agreement with Apex Helicopters for the lease of lands at the Richard Levan Airport. Councillor Bailey
Yes.
moves.
Second,
Deputy Reach seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Moving to council reports and inquiries. Yes?
The Wingham DIA, the record from the meetings aren't in there. We had a meeting, they've established their financial package, and I believe it's this Wednesday. I think we're going to the general meeting for the participants to agree to it. And they've set 3 or 4 items aside that they want to pursue, some on long-term and some on short-term. I decided to bring that to your attention. We'll try to get those minutes in for the council package. I'm not sure why they're not coming through yet. The next thing is, I was at the Economic Leadership Alliance for the last week, and it was quite an interesting, it was about agriculture, which is the very first time agriculture has been on for the Economic Leadership Series. It was quite an interesting day, actually, because you started to realize after a while that agriculture is really going in 2 directions as far as farming. It's going into 2,000 acres on one side, and it's going into small hobby farms on the other side, where a person's trying to make a living out of what they call farm gate. It was quite an interesting meeting, and this is part of all of Ontario. This just isn't Huron County. This was quite nice to have it here. Some of the other things that were brought up are the fact that there's no jobs for the younger people, and we start to realize that, well, we have the canning factory in Exeter closed, 500 jobs lost. Shortly, we're going to have E.D. Smith closed, 250 jobs. We're losing a lot of, the concern is that the younger people are not staying in the area, and the fact is the processing plants are closing. There are no jobs. So if you've got a farm and you've got 5 children, only one of them are going to run that farm. But the way the trend seems to be going, and farmers in this room can let me know if I'm wrong, it's just that they're being bought up, or they're being leased out by large companies or large stakes. So there's quite a, it's kind of the end of what the processing companies have been through, and also the people that just work in those factories, that their jobs aren't there anymore. The actual reason I went to the meeting to begin with is Steve Peters was going to be there. Steve is the former Minister of Agriculture, and he's a former Speaker of the House, and I met him 15 years ago. I was quite pleasantly surprised he still remembers me. But I didn't see him for those 2 reasons. If we're going to bring economic development here, we need to partner ourselves with people that have that as an in. And Steve is actually the Alliance of Ontario Food Processors. He's the director for it, and he represents 650 companies. So that's one of the people we want to pursue as we move forward, to put processing plants back and jobs back in our area. It was nice to have him sit at my table, quite unexpected. And but it was a good it was a good thing to go to. I'm glad I went to it. It was an all-day event, and those are the connections we need to start to make, and we're going to make, to move this forward.
Thank you, Dave.
Further to Bernie's comments, I went to the session as well, and I attended the innovation and the infrastructure breakout sessions, and the interest on the infrastructure was interesting in that farmers realize that we have too many roads, but they also want better roads. And some of the roads that aren't used anymore have bridges on them, and we wonder why we're maintaining some of the roads that really aren't needed anymore. And then the innovation capacity, they talk a lot about the high-speed internet and the value of the internet and the information that's available to the farmers and the use of it in the future farming operations. And then just one more comment. Both Bernie and I were elevated in stature in that we were put down on the program as farmers.
I open for comment.
Councillor Vaughn.
Comment on that now.
I think these two comments are really significant. We've noticed for a long time that when we talk about economic development, we rarely make reference to East Wawanosh, which I think is really, really unfortunate. I've talked to some East Wawanosh people say, we don't want any development, we like our nice, quiet country the way it is, but the fact is that it's an area that we don't really engage with probably as much as we should. And maybe part of the reason is that some of them are like me, they're totally ignorant of what the issues are in the agricultural community. But I think we need to start educating ourselves and getting more engaged. Another interesting observation along the same line is that the Morris Turnberry has just put out its business retention and expansion report. And it's quite an excellent report. But when we look at it, there's almost no mention of agriculture. And that's an agricultural municipality, totally. And there's barely a mention of agriculture. It mentions all the businesses. Some of them are agricultural related, but it's mainly stores and in the settled areas like Belgrave and Bluebell and so on. And it's not their fault. This is not a criticism of Morris Turnberry. They're using a tool, the BR&E process, which really focuses on urban businesses. And it really excludes farming because it has to be normally it's covered in a settled area. So I raised this at the Huron Business Development Corporation and also at the Huron Economic Development Partnership. And it seems to be an issue that people haven't thought about a great deal, but perhaps we're beginning to think about. I don't know where it's going to lead, but it strikes me that this is a very important area that we should be delving into, and we need people like Jim and Ray and people who have some experience with, and Bernie with the processing experience that will help to get us into that.
Okay. Right?
Thank you, Brock. Mr. Reach, you said farmers didn't need roads, they want better roads, and they didn't need roads?
The comment come out, and actually I raised it and then it was expanded on by a number of farmers, but in areas where there are no farms on a road, like no buildings left anymore because farms have gotten a lot bigger, they wonder why we're maintaining that road. Would it be better turned over to the farmers? And instead of having our blocks being 1.25 miles, or in East Wawanosh, as I was corrected by Brock, 1 7/8 by...
Mile and 8 by mile and 7/8.
Yeah. Instead of having a road every 1 7/8, have a road every 1 7/8 by 2, so that's every 2.5 miles or whatever, or 3 miles. And so then our road maintenance is a lot less, bridges and culverts, and we wouldn't have to buy as much gravel. And some of those roads would be turned into farmland. And the municipality would sell the road to the farmer, and for the $20,000 an acre. I'm being facetious there, by the way.
I'm still having problems, but we don't have to discuss it any further, but I think some of our roads already don't have winter maintenance on them, isn't there? There's some that don't, but we do hydro lines that generally go on every road too, so it kind of complicated. We don't need to.
Oh, it's a very complicated issue, but,
Yeah.
But it was discussed fairly thoroughly.
Mr. Campbell?
want to know what it would be going, people would still continue to use those roads whether.
Oh, they'd be closed.
Yeah, if it doesn't really close the road. And another thing I want to just bring up, that when you go in and talk to farmers, it's amazing how many farmers have high-speed internet. And it is used. If I go into a farmer today and he's talking about, he already has the corn prices for this morning. And he knows what they close at the end of the day too, corn, soybeans. So it's very relevant that the farmers do have access to, a lot of them have access to high speed.
I would have loved to have been there, but I went for where it was warmer and a few holidays that wasn't involving politics or sports or, and no, I didn't lose any money. It was Vegas that I went to. Had a wonderful trip through the Grand Canyon on a helicopter, and it is a geological wonder of the layering and everything, and seeing the Hoover Dam and a number of other things that, but in the, Councillor Bailey really brought it out. The 2,000 acre for the 20 acre. That, and that a lot of people living in East Wallinosh probably don't even realize who is working a lot of the properties. That, oh well, there's still a house there, so, and somebody living in it, so it must be a farm. Well, there's a lot of the houses have no real connection to the land in East Wallinosh now, so that I was happy that you brought that comment forward, Councillor Bailey, and that it is the reality, and it's honestly the size of equipment that you have to buy, because a lot of the times you cannot buy small machinery anymore. In that, especially in combines and harvesting equipment. So, thank you for that.
Just one more subject I'd like to touch on, more to do with maybe with county council. The ambulances. There's had a couple of people that drive them stop me, want to talk to me about them. Right now we have, I think it's 6 ambulances and 2 half-ton trucks, and of course
4 trucks.
4 trucks. And there's a situation brewing at county level where they may change that back to the 2 people in each ambulance and get rid of the half-ton trucks. And I wondered as a council how we felt about that. And I'm just going to give you my quick view on it. We have first response from our fire service in North Huron, which is duplicating the half-ton ambulances that you see. And I have a difficult time with understanding why we would pay money for the first response to go out from North Huron and then turn right around, and the half-ton from the ambulance service to get to an accident or domestic dispute or a fire or whatever it is, for those 2 to say, just wait, hold on, I know you called for an ambulance, we've got one on the way. I don't understand why the ambulance does not send an ambulance. It sends people to the hospital wherever they need to go, instead of sending a half-ton truck there first. And I understand that they're medical equipment, but they wait on the ambulance. And I believe it's before county right now about passing it, whether they go back to full ambulance. And I understand all about the province saying you have to be there in 13 minutes. Again, if I was sitting on county, I would send it back to the province and say it can't be done, period. We live in too big of an area. So from my personal point of view as a councillor, I prefer to go back to ambulances. I'm just curious, Neil, can you fill us in whether the vote's gone through or it's going to go through, or how are councils represented for that?
There's supposed to be a report coming back to council from staff, and that the way the Ministry of Health rates it is the length of time from when the call is made till when there's somebody there to the scene. That having the one paramedic in the vehicle has cut those times most of the time, not completely all the time. That was a directive. The one thing that a lot of people don't realize is paramedics do not move a person until they believe they have them stabilized. And that I know from experience last fall at our place, lady stopped in. She was having health problems. And the ambulance was in our yard good 12 to 14 minutes before they left. A lot of times with the rapid response vehicles, is what the 4 single paramedic vehicles are called, that they are there, and it usually averages 6 to 10 minutes ahead of an ambulance arriving. If it's something that they don't need the ambulance, they can radio back and call off the ambulance. It's something that there is definitely pluses on both sides, that there's definitely a faster response with the extra vehicles. As to how much they can do, the trucks have pretty near as much equipment on them as the ambulance, but they don't carry a stretcher. So that there's definite trade-offs, and that if you're figuring on that putting 4 ambulances on instead of the 4 rapid response, to have 10 ambulances, that's one thing. The rapid response are not all 24 hours a day. That they are on schedules, and that it works out to the same number of hours approximately that they would have is as if they had 8 ambulances for the county instead of the 6 with 4 rapid response. There's very deep feelings on county council both ways, depending on who you're talking to. Personally, I see points both ways. If it's getting, I'll say, a defibrillator to a person, I think the rapid response may be better. If it's ones to a major accident scene where there's trauma, probably ambulances would be of more good. It's a guess in which you have to respond to. I haven't made decisions myself on which I believe is best, because I see points both ways, and that I know that the rapid response has started a few hearts again that may not have been in time had they been waiting the extra 4 or 5 minutes for an ambulance.
On behalf of the ambulance drivers I've been talking to from the time this started till now, and just last week, I wonder if I could put a motion forward that North Huron Council support the full ambulance arriving at the scene when an ambulance is called.
Will you say how many ambulances we should have in the county?
How many did we have before this started? 8? 8. Minimum of 8.
Do we have a seconder for that as a motion?
second it for discussion purpose.
Okay, further discussion. Ray?
I don't think I understand it enough to know what should be there, because these pickup trucks, do they keep circulating around, or where are they? Are they?
Well, they're the same as the ambulances, that if basically, if there's ambulances are on the job, picking up people, all vehicles are actually moving, and that it's, I'll use the analogy of our North Huron Fire Service, that when the Blythe fire trucks go out on a call, there is a pumper and 4 people go to Belgrave, being the center of the area we cover, so that no matter where the call comes from, it's probably the fastest response, and conversely with Blythe and Wingham. That is what is looked at with the ambulance service. When you see a lot of them driving down the roads, they are shifting to try and cut the number of miles that anyone would have to drive to respond to a call any place within the county. Councillor Vaughn?
I think I would prefer to leave this issue with the councillors who are going to have a report that they can look at, and they can criticize and so on, but they have the facts, the basic facts there, and some statistics that would help make a decision. I don't feel that I'm at all in a position, as Ray said, of understanding enough to make any recommendation on this.
I wonder if they have done a study that can prove to me that having the 4 pickup trucks roving through the county, or going to different places, and rather than working out of one station, I wonder if they can prove that it reduces the response time, because if they move from Blythe to Wingham, and then there's a call in Lonsboro, have they say, well, it takes more time to get there, but has the overall response time been reduced for everyone, and is there a cost saving to it? And what is the cost of having the ambulance rove and the driver sitting in a vehicle all the time with his engine running, because they have to keep him running? That's a complicated question.
There's too many parts of that question. One thing that I would say is that there high call volumes routinely in certain periods of the day, and that the 4 rapid response units are in those areas that the highest call volume is, and there's staggered timing on them to a certain amount. If we could detect where all the calls would be coming from tomorrow, we could have them close by. But through past history as to the areas you have the calls is how the routes and the things are put together. Basically, for every extra ambulance, you're looking at an extra $1 million a year, or close to it.
So just to maybe to clarify, the way I understood this, talking to our former fire chief and Keith, in North Huron, we have first response at our fire stations. So if there's an accident or you have a heart attack, that half ton's going to roll out of our fire station. So is the half ton for the ambulance service. They're going to race each other to get there. One's gonna call the other out when they get there. But neither one of them can transport you.
No.
So if they get there, that halftime gets there, and you're in the middle of a heart attack, or you cut your leg off in a farming accident, you will wait till the ambulance finally shows up. In the old days, we had 8 ambulances, we're down to 6 because we traded off 2 ambulances for 4 half-ton trucks. So when you call for an ambulance, there's a good chance a half-ton truck's gonna show up. Then they're going to call the ambulance. And I don't get that. If I call for an ambulance, I want an ambulance. But the way it's set up now, if the half-ton truck is in your area, he goes first, he assesses it, or our fire people will assess it, doing the same job, they're both there, paying them both, and they will assess it and say, oh yeah, actually we do really need an ambulance, which is now even farther away because we got a half-ton truck here instead of an ambulance. So it's a long ways away. Now that 10, 15 minutes have gone by, let's call a real ambulance and bring them on over. I have a hard time with this, and I'm only talking on behalf of the people that have spoken to me, okay? And the other situation they have, the other problem they have is with only one person on the half-ton truck. Should there be a domestic dispute, or there should be an accident, or there should be something happening, there's nobody covering that person's back. So that person goes in to do their job, and the second person isn't there, and therefore they've got to try to watch their back, and well, something's going on. Quite often they're there ahead of the police. They're there ahead of the fire department. They're quite often the first people on scene. But we've changed it to the point where they are now alone in a half-ton truck that has to wait for the ambulance anyway. And that's where I'm coming from.
That, with all respect, and that I know that this has been brought to you, but I know for a fact our North Huron firefighters have responded ahead of the ambulance to medical calls, because the ones in the ambulance, there's protocols that they have to do, that basically sometimes protocols take longer than firefighters getting the bunker gear on. And that the reality is very seldom does an ambulance move any quicker than 10 or 12 minutes from an accident scene, because of stabilization and the way that they are in communications to either local hospital or base hospital as to the directions as to where that ambulance is supposed to go. Many times, the ones in the rapid response vehicles are advanced care paramedics, which they are not all the time, but many of them are better trained. They have more ability to do things, I'll say, on scene, and that so that there isn't anything where you will win all the time, and I personally want to see the report that is being brought back. Okay.
I'd like to make just one comment. We're kind of, we have 3 groups here. We have our first responders, we have our ambulance, and we have the ones in the 1-ton truck, or half-ton truck. Right. These fellows all work together, and ladies all work together. And when a call comes in, whoever can respond the quickest is usually the one that is dispatched to the scene. And we have to remember that our first responders are trained as well as these other fellows are, and maybe even better.
Yep.
And I know of cases especially in the Blythe area, where the firemen have already been there, they've already had the person stabilized, and if they think they work with the doctor at Owen Sound, if the doctor says that fellow needs to be airlifted away, the helicopter's there, the helicopter there before the ambulance even arrived.
Yep.
And loaded the person up and we're ready to leave. And I think we have to look at all of this, and it's all a big group here working together. And I think we have well-qualified people, and I think we should let our well-qualified people make the decision on this.
Councilor Vaughn.
Plus, there are lots of areas where there is no first response, so in many areas, it's just a matter of either ambulance or
Okay, is there any further questions or comments?
Recorded vote?
Please.
And could you read the motion?
I don't have a motion.
Oh, the motion was to have the ambulance service send a full ambulance out, as they did before, not the first response, to go back to full ambulance service.
Not the rapid response.
Yeah, I don't want rapid response. And with a minimum
Go
of 8.
back to 8 ambulances.
Go back to 8 ambulances. Minimum of 8 ambulances.
Deputy Reed Reach?
I second.
Okay, like we said, this is a recorded vote.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Councilor Bailey?
Yes.
Councilor Campbell?
No.
Councilor Vaughn?
no.
Sorry, Councilor Hallahan? And Reed Vincent.
This time, no. Any other points for councillors' issues? Or inquiries? Okay, we'll move to clerk administrator's report.
Okay, thank you, Reed. Just a couple items for council. Councilor Bailey mentioned the Wingham BIA. I should mention that our Director of Finance is scheduled to present the North Huron budget, or to give a presentation this Thursday regarding the North Huron budget. And that's this Thursday at 8 o'clock. That's still on track?
We just able to talk.
Sign language.
And I know that several bylaws related to the Wingham BIA will be brought forward to council at your April 15th meeting. Watch for those, and I think we'll also see some minutes of WBA meetings on that agenda as well. Also wanted to mention that our planner and I spoke earlier today about the official plan review and possibility of having an open house on Tuesday, May 28th at 7 p.m. We'll provide more information to council and to the community about that open house, but just mark it on your calendar for Tuesday, May 28th.
Daytime?
This would be at 7 p.m. Council chambers. I also wanted to mention that the Ontario Municipal Administrators Association, of which I'm a member, has a spring and fall workshop for its members. And it's noteworthy that the spring workshop will be taking place in Grand Bend in mid-May at the Oakwood Inn and Conference Center. And a couple things. I would request authorization from council that I be given the time to attend that conference. And also, I know the organizing committee of the conference, of which I'm a member, would appreciate the lower tier municipalities in Huron County contributing $100 each to conference expenses and so on. So a couple motions for consideration. Please.
Councillor Vaughn?
I move that the CAO clerk be authorized to attend this meeting, and that we provide a donation, a fee of $100 to the organizing committee for support of the conference.
I'll second that. Councillor Keenan? Any discussion? All in favor? Carried.
Okay, Thank you, Reeve. Just one item for Cameron. This would be labor relations or employee negotiations. North Huron, Morris Turnberry fire agreement negotiations.
Okay, moving to public gallery questions and/or comments. Come on, Danny.
I'm good.
Okay. Well, if there's no questions or comments there, motion to go in camera.
Just one thing,
Oh,
we
set?
have a meeting on Thursday night
Yes, this would be
in the
7
council
p.m.
chambers at 7 o'clock.
Presentation from the Black Festival and key community stakeholders.
Okay.
There's two meetings on Thursday, so there's the budget presentation in the morning to WBA, which is, yeah, but that's not,
Businesses, the Wayne Business Association.
certainly attendance is optional. And then the live presentation. Thank you.
I move go on camera.
Councilor Biden, Councilor Campbell, all in favor? Carried. Short recess.